If everyone's ready, I'll get you started.
Let's start. I just started Zoom.
All right. Okay, sending the feed your way. Have a good show.
Thanks, Matt.
Welcome to an enlightened hour of interactive talk. This is Guided Spirit Conversations with host Marla Goldberg. In this program, we spotlight guests from all over the globe who have helped others change their lives, and will provide you with the tips, tools, and techniques that you need to help make a difference in your own life. Now, here is Marla Goldberg.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show of Guided Spirit Conversations. I'm Marla Goldberg. And once again, I'm really excited about our guest today. Our guest is Ulrike Kern. Ulrike is from Munchenberg, Germany. She is a relationship mentor, speaker, author. And while Ulrike works with her clients, she gives them the tools that they need to build or rebuild the relationships that they want and deserve. Let's welcome Ulrike. Hi there, how are you?
Hello, thank you. I'm fine, thanks.
Good, I'm so glad you're here. And I know it's quite late where you are, isn't it?
No, it's fine, it's 6:00 p.m.
Oh, that's not too bad. So, Ulrike, how did you start down this path of wanting to help people? And I know your focus is primarily women, work on their relationships, whether it be with partners, friends, family, or coworkers.
Yeah, it all started like years ago when I myself was in the situation where people I coach now are in. I'm a mother, and when I gave birth to my children, I quit my job, and then I was there for my kids and my babies, and I really loved it, and I like it still. But at that time, I felt really unhappy with my life, even though it seemed that I had everything, like the husband, a nice house, and everything was so well. But inside, I didn't feel well at all. So then I started working again, because also I thought maybe it's just because I'm at home and I'm just bringing the kids to kindergarten and watching after them and educating them. And then I worked a lot, and then I had my household, and even though I had the housekeeper and the kids and everything, but then it was a different situation. I thought, whatever I do, I'm not doing it well enough. Being a mother, and I had a bad feeling because I was neglecting them, and then I thought I was neglecting work, whatever. So I started to heal this inside me. And I found different ways of different healing techniques, and they worked so well that I wanted to give this to others. So I started learning the techniques so that I can teach them. And then I gave that to others. And after that, it was like, it went bigger and bigger, and that now that it's an online.
So when you started out, and you were changing your life, and you went back to school took classes to learn how to help others with their, life, become happier, more satisfied, develop better relationships. Did you do it like for a friend, and then a friend told another friend, or did you do it and then say, I really want to help people on a larger scale, and sort of hang out your shingle?
Yeah, I think everyone has a life purpose why we are here. And I found out with others, but I found out that this is my life purpose. And that's also why I lived through it, so that I know what it feels like.
That's why most of the people who are healers have all gone through traumatic situations in their life, because how are you able to help if you don't know and empathize with what somebody else is going through? So right. That's so right. And when you work with your clients, what do you think is the most important area to work on with their relationships? Is it working on themselves? Is it working on communication with their spouse or partner, their children? where do you think, like when you're addressing a number of issues, which one do you target in first?
The one person who is within every relationship is yourself. So with every relationship you have, and doesn't depend on a section, it's the family, it's friends, it's business partners or colleagues, you are always a part of it. So I start with the relationship to yourself.
And what is the biggest thing you tell people when it comes to how the importance of developing self-love?
I think self-love and thankfulness are the most important parts. And yeah, it's for most of us, or of people, the most difficult part, because in our generation, or in generations even now, we grow up with dependent love, and that's because our parents, they didn't knew it any better, so they did their best. But in a way, it's easy to say, when you are nice now, I love you more. Children, they want the love, and they are dependent on the love, so they think they have to be in a special way so that they are loved. And when we are a baby, when we come to earth, we are full of unconditional love. We love everybody like it is, and it's deep inside us, and we can get it again.
We can, and I agree with you that we are brought up with conditions. It's like, I love you if you clean your room. I love you if you get A's on your report card. I love you if, and so you do things to be able to attain that love from the parent or the authority figure, because it's not always necessarily a parent. It could be a teacher, a religious figure, wanting to be accepted. And so sometimes you feel like you have to do things to get that love and acceptance. And do you agree with that?
Yes.
And the important thing is to have independent love and to realize what an amazing individual you are on your own, and that you really don't need to go through hoops to receive love and acceptance.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes, you are lovable as you are.
Yes.
Yes.
It's so true. And then how does this sort of segue into, you work with your clients, they learn to, really understand, accept, and love who they are. How does that work in a relationship with, let's say, a romantic partner?
When you love yourself, it's so easy to love others, because you give this unconditional love to the others once it is inflamed inside yourself. It's an automatic process in a way.
So I understand, when you love yourself, you really find more independence from, wanting to be accepted by your spouse, but you do want to be accepted by your spouse. You do want them to like you and appreciate you, correct?
Yeah, it's always nice when he appreciates you, but you can't give this to the outside. Love is something which is inside you, and it's you can't give it to someone else to say, well, if you love me, you have to do this and this and this. It's do you understand what
I do. I
saying?
know. I do understand. You're very clear. So yes, I know that you feel that there's a language challenge, but you're coming across very good, very
Thank
well.
you.
So in relationship to partners, parents, coworkers, what do you think the most important thing is in those relationships?
When you are in a good level of self-esteem, then it doesn't matter what others say to you or do to you, because you are so inside yourself that other people can't trigger you out, and then it's easier in like for example, in work relationships, I had the experience that people like to make others down, so that to make them higher, they put others down.
Yes.
It's a technique a lot of people use in business, but
And
it
in
only
real
works.
life too. Sorry to
Yes,
interrupt, but
that's
in
right.
real life too, some people want to make themselves feel better by making other people feel small or putting them in a light of smallness.
Yeah, but it's only when they need it themselves, when they have a low self-esteem, then they need that technique to put others small. But once you are focused with your self-esteem and you know your self-esteem and it's healed deep inside, then it doesn't really matter. Then it doesn't matter at all in a way what others say. It just
It just
and
rolls off.
yes, and once you realize that people with a low self-esteem act as if they have a very strong self-esteem, then it's even easier to handle that.
I see. So how do you handle that? If somebody, is puffing out their chest and acting like they're full of confidence, but they really aren't, and they're sort of impeding on your space, how, in communication, how do you suggest people handle that?
I think everyone needs their own technique, but what I found out is if you just let them talk and don't react, and they realize they can't trigger you, then they stop, because they realize the technique doesn't work.
It puts out their flame, sort of thing, so to speak. So, okay, that's great. And what about with children? The communication and relationship building with children.
When your children know that they are loved as they are, and even though while arguing, because anger and arguments, they are part of life. A lot of people think that being aggressive, not aggressive, but being very angry is a bad attitude. But like a 13-year-old girl or boy who are in their, it is puberty, is it in their
puberty? Yeah,
puberty, they go through a tough time because everything is new connected inside, and they don't know, I am a child, am I an adult, what am I? And they need to have an atmosphere which is which holds them. But even though you give an atmosphere which holds them, we are still human. So, and then there's a point when you think, oh, okay, now that's enough, stop. But during the argumentation, when you really make sure, I love you as you are, and I know you go through a tough time, but also I myself go through a tough time with you now. It's for them, it's much easier to handle, than they can calm down easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I adopted 2 children at the ages of 10 and 13. And I would talk to them about, look at, you're about to go, you're about to cross the threshold to a very confusing time, which I refer to as hormone hell. So, and I would let them know that you're going to be feeling things and you're going to be having these urges and cravings. And yeah, I'm not talking about life cravings. I'm not talking about chocolate or salty, crunchy foods. But I would let them know that, to just learn to accept themselves or come talk to me if there's any confusion or question about what's going on, because they're going to find themselves in a very, it's like in Winnie the Pooh, there was a push me, pull me, it was like polar opposites. You'll feel pulling because you get so confused about what's happening to you.
Yeah.
And how you then start relating, because you act like an adult, but you're still a child. It's like, I'm a boy, I'm a man, I'm a boy, I'm a man. What am I? I'm a girl, I'm a woman, I'm a girl, I'm a woman. What am I? Because you're at that place of confusion. You're developing, but yet you're still innocent and naive.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's an interesting period of time. Now, you traditionally work with women Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit a different subject. We're going to hit that on the other side of the break. Let's talk about forgiveness. Where does forgiveness go in your scale? Is it like a high up in the process of everything, or in the middle? Where do you hold forgiveness?
Hi. And it's not only forgiveness to forgive others, but also to forgive yourself.
Which is sometimes one of the hardest things to do, forgiving
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, because it's common that it's the others' fault. And
Of course, it's everybody else. It's not me. It can't be me.
but when there are two and and one thinks it's the other and the other thinks it's the other, so where do we stop? And there are things which are really tough in life, but and it's tough to forgive, but there's a nice saying: don't forgive the others because they deserve it. Forgive yourself because you deserve freedom. And
It's so true.
yeah.
No, that it's a very it's a very true statement. And it's very, one of my topics is forgiveness, because I had to learn that as well. And it's something that I talk about. So I align with what you're talking about. And yes, it's very, it's important to forgive yourself, because, as I like to say, it's not, you're not letting somebody else off the hook for what they've done or said. You're just giving yourself a gift of, so that you're released and free of the burden of the anger or bitterness that you might carry around.
Yeah, and then you can carry on with your life in a different way, on a much higher and easier level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to stop here for a second. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the women you work with, how you work with them, your programs, and we'll be right back. Stick around.
All right, great job. We're all clear.
Thanks,
Back in a
Matt.
couple. Yep.
All right. How are you? How are you feeling?
Fine.
Feels good?
Yes, it's easy. I see you, I talk to you. So
Yes.
yeah.
And it's and you talk about so many things that I resonate with, that it just makes it so easy for me to
Yeah.
have this conversation with you, because it's so similar.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is one of my special areas of conversation, when I
Okay.
speak. Yeah. And
Perfect.
so yeah, when we come back, I want to talk about what you do with the women in your program. So we'll go on with that. So let's go back to, without mentioning any names, that program we were talking about before. And so you re-signed up for the whole thing.
Yes.
Were you able to choose that where you were this year? That you wanted to be part of a forum, or you wanted to stand up and do a 10-minute talk?
I could only choose which type of talk, if it's single or panel or interview. All the rest was given. I had no. I gave what I wanted to do, but that person wasn't there anyway. So yeah.
So but it worked out. I mean, you were fabulous.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, the video of it?
No, but
Well,
it
I'm
comes
sure
when
they'll
it
get
comes.
it to you. It takes a while. It took this
Yeah.
long to get the photos, right?
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it was an interesting first experience for me. So I'm looking forward to getting into the rest
Yeah.
of the program.
I think it's a good. Well, it's always difficult to give recommendations, but when it feels good in the heart, then just go for it.
Exactly. I agree. So
Yeah.
how many kids do you have?
2.
How old are they now?
They are age 10 and 11.
Oh, they're right on the verge.
Yeah.
Are they boys or girls?
Two girls.
Ah,
Yeah. They are
All
only
right.
16.
15 seconds. Sorry, coming back in 15.
perfect. Thank you.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, welcome back. If you've just joined us, my guest today is Ulrike Kern. Ulrike is from Münchenberg, Germany, and she is a relationship coach as well as a speaker and an author. And if you have any questions about relationships, this is the lady to talk to. So please don't be shy. Feel free to call in at 888-346-9141. And in the meantime, Ulrike, we were talking about relationships, about forgiveness, about what's important in relationship. And the first important note that we were talking about is how to love yourself. But Ulrike is going to talk to us now about what she does. She works with women who have left the workforce and had children, will work with their children, don't feel satisfied and want to go back into the workforce to gain their mojo back. So Ulrike, welcome back in.
Thank you. And it's not only to go back to work, it's going to get back to happiness and to joy of life and to leave those, spread the wings and start flying again.
And feel self-joy.
Yes, because all the others grow, the husband grows, the kids grow, and a lot of times the women, they stop growing because they are only there for their family. They bring their kids to their hobbies and to school, and they just wait until she's needed, and she has no time at all to grow herself or to have time for herself. And a lot of women, they lost so much energy that they don't really want to spend the time they have to do anything because they just need to relax. And it seemed difficult to believe once you are not in that situation. So I do believe a lot of husbands, they have no idea what their wives feel like.
It's true.
Because you can only feel it once you have really lived that.
So somebody is coming to you, they're in this situation, they hear about you and your program. How do you work with them?
I developed an online program because everyone has time at a different time during the day. There are some women, they appreciate the morning or the afternoon or even at night, because it depends what the everyday routine goes like. So it's an online program, and combined with Facebook Lives and with questions, so that nobody is alone, that I accompany them on the way. And I found out that the classical healing techniques, I like your dog, that they go to a special step. Also mindset work goes to a special step, but the mind is very ambitious not to go through the deepest wounds again, because they hurt it so much. And there are techniques which go beyond the mind, beyond the ego, and go to deeper levels, and so soft that you don't need to go through that pain again.
Because, and here's the wonderful thing that people need to understand is you don't need to go through that heavy, really aching pain. You can go through the process again, but not feel the same way you did the first time.
That's right.
So where do people find your program?
It's best either to join me in my Facebook group, which is #HappyMe, #HappyFamily. And then to get in contact there, because it's not, you can't find it just to click on it.
But you also have a website, which is www.welcome-happiness.com. So I would think you have the information about what you do in your programs on there as well.
That's right. But it's a small website on purpose. I want to talk to the women, and first, it's always important to know if I am the right coach or not, and that's easier if we talk before. So I always do like a strategy coaching, which is for free before that, and the people can you can book me. They can book a strategy coaching for that.
Okay, this is great to know. So you would give a complimentary strategy conversation with people who are thinking about joining your class and your workshops.
That's right.
Perfect. So, okay, here's a question. Do you feel that women who are happy and fulfilled raise their children in a different way than women who are unfulfilled and unhappy?
Yes, completely. When I started having the kids, I was looking at women who continued living their life there, and they were loving moms, but they went to the job they loved and they continued the hobbies they loved. And they, or we, now it's me too. We treat our kids in a much more relaxed way. Not that we, there are still those boundaries which are important to learn, and still the education which is important to know. But being happy yourself, it's easier to let them be happy, because then you are happy to see them grow.
Absolutely. It's so true. And I agree with that, because I think when the main person who is in the child's life, because the husband tends to be at work in longer hours, may travel more. Now, this isn't always the case today, because there are dads that are really the ones who are the caretakers more than the moms. And which reminds me, I have a question about that. But I think that they come at raising the children, they bring their world experience, the experience of having to deal with outside forces, meaning their bosses, the people they work with, customers, and they bring it into the training on how to make their child, giving the child tools. So when they have challenges, they can go into their little personal toolbox and say, oh, wait, conflict resolution. I know how to deal with this. I know how to deal with that. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do.
But now with more men taking that caretaker role, where they give up either their job or they cut back on their situation to allow the wife, who might be more of an earner or may travel more, whatever it is, to do their occupation, their profession. Do you have a program, or will you have a program that will help men whose self-esteem and self-worth might start getting a little shaken because of the role reversal?
See, if they are in the same situation as the women, it's they are happy to join the program, of course, too. What I am going to do too is a program like when the women start growing and they are growing inside, then they change, not as a person, but as not as they grow to a higher level, and it's important that the husband grows with her. So
Yes.
we don't want from there to there.
Right.
We want there.
So which would, for those who are not seeing the YouTube, Ulrika is showing that you don't want like one higher than the other. You want to try to be as equal as possible at the in level.
In level, and I want to that the family grows together, and the really nice thing is that when you start growing and then the others grow with you, which I see in my family life has a happiness and a love which I would never have thought that it was possible.
And there's also cohesiveness that is developed because of the weaving of all the information from happy people. Happy people share different kinds of information, and they
That's
come at things in a very different way.
Yes, the communication is different because happy people focus on happy situations and on happy themes, and unhappy people tend to talk about other unhappy people so that they don't feel this, they think they feel better then, but energy goes, you get the energy where you put the energy to. So when you put the energy to argumentation or limitation, then you attract limitation to your life even more. And
It's
when you
true.
put it to abundance and to happiness and to love, then this grows, and it grows from day to day, every day a bit more.
I agree. And that's the garden I want to play in. The abundance, happy, joyful garden.
Yes.
Because that's where those everything grows large and lush and beautiful. And it's like that Dr. Emoto with the water, with you, or with the plant, where you have one plant, you say negative things to it,
Yeah.
and you have another plant, you say positive things to it. Well, the negative shrivels while the positive just gets abundant and lush.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. And that happens
Okay.
to humans in relationship. And
That's
you
right.
help people get there, which is amazing.
Yeah. It's
It's
so much fun and so much joy to see others grow.
Is there a story? Do you have a client that you can share a great success story with us, and how she came to you, and through your program, how she's doing today?
She has a happy family, but with her, it was difficult with her mother, for example. Because to family, it's not only the partner and the kids, it's also your own parents. And I don't want to get into detail, but the situation was really tense. And that loosened so that the mother stayed as she is. But for her, it doesn't really matter what the mother says or what she does. Now she can laugh about her mother except of crying. So it's just a complete shift.
So you basically taught her how to sort of maneuver whatever verbal or emotional attacks the mother projected onto the client, and allowing the client to realize that it's mom's stuff, not mine, and I don't need to take it in and allow it to wound me.
Right. Yeah.
Would that be a great way of putting it?
Yes.
And you don't just work with people in Germany or Europe. You work globally, correct?
Yes.
That's great. And so when you work on a global basis, or let's say you're having a one-to-one, do you use Skype or Zoom so that you could see the person and have eye contact?
Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Which is great. So do you record it so you could send them back their sessions?
No, because we go. The talking is. Let me find the right words. The program is more that they do it themselves, and then I get the email, and then the support is with email. The Zoom is like in the group, and you can put the questions in the group, but it's still eye contact.
Yes.
Because you can learn from others too. You don't, when it's in a group, most of the time you learn more from others, because then you think, oh, right, that's the same with me. I didn't even realize.
Exactly. And you learn so much from a group. So you have independent study, but then everybody comes together for questions and support.
Yes.
Wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. So when women come to you, I would assume that there'd be some that might be a little apprehensive. Do you have any special way to gain their trust, so that they know that you're able to work with them and elevate their situation?
I prefer to tell them that they decide from the heart, because the heart knows more than the mind and the brain. The mind loves limitation, and when when you follow your heart, you always go the right steps.
That's so true, isn't it? It just is amazing when that happened. So with your classes or your webinars, do you have like a number of them that they could choose either or is it you best to go, webinar 1, webinar 2, webinar 3, as part of your program?
It's one small, well, for me, small webinar, which goes for 2 to 3 months. It's still big compared to others, but this is to get through the first deep wounds and barriers, and to get to know each other, because the main program is for 18 months to go really deep inside and to get the shift. My experience is when you go from one program to the other, then it can help, but it is also possible that you don't have a red thread to get through. And when it's not deep enough, then the onion doesn't peel. So you always get back to there are so many women I talked to, they had done so much things and it didn't really work. So so that so that my program is over this long period of time, that change can happen, and I give tools for that they can use for in future. And in this 1.5 years, those tools are deep, like burned inside. They are so natural, and at that after the program, that you just continue living, and you don't. There's no hole. How do you say it, when you go into a hole after the program? Like I had some people, they visit the program and it lasts for a month, and after the program stops, they are lost, as if they were fallen into a hole. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And so you've extended it to 18 months so that you could truly take them step by step by step to releasing, forgiving, and then becoming full of acceptance and self-love, so that they can move in their life in a more joyful, abundant, and prosperous way.
Yes, and creating a life they want to live. I have women who really they are not happy at all with life anymore, and and they find ways what they want to do in life, and they find. First, they need to find them, and then we level the way to get there.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to stop here for a second. We're going to take our break. We'll be back on the other side to talk to Ulrika Kern. Meanwhile, if you want to call in and ask a question, 888-346-9141. We'll see you on the other side. Stay tuned.
All right, perfect. We're all clear. Back in about 2.
Thanks, Matt. How's it going? Are the questions okay for you? Are we hitting the mark for you?
Yes, I am struggling with words. I hope that's okay.
Take your time. Everybody knows, you're from you're from Germany. Your English is amazing, considering you live in another country. So I think you're doing exceptionally well. So, and take your time. If you need to get words, just say, well, I need to find what I'm trying to say. Give me a second, and we just go with that flow. You know, I don't expect you to be like this with, a language you're not accustomed to speaking all the time.
Yeah.
So this is good. It's very interesting. So when you told me you were a spiritual consultant, did you learn metaphysical? Did you have metaphysical training?
Yes.
What are you trained in?
I'm trained. One is a light master, and bio and bioenergy therapist. I
Okay.
don't, yes. And I'm also a light language teacher, and light language is an antique healing technique from the Mayas. And in this 18-month program, I teach that so that they can use it in everyday life.
How perfect. We need to mention that.
Yes, but not that they get scared. But yeah, we can mention that. Yes.
You know what? I don't think they'll get scared. I think they'll know if they're learning some deep tools that to go deep.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. If you don't want to, we don't have to mention it.
We can, yes. It's part of the program. If they are not, if they don't want to, the program isn't for them anyway.
Well, right. Everybody comes where they resonate, right? If what we're talking about resonates, you meet them where they are.
Yeah. What is the resonate?
Resonate means how do I explain resonate? So when you have a vibration that's here, and somebody like you feel good with somebody, they're resonating on the same level. You're here and they're also here, and so your resonance together is flowing.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
resonance.
yeah, but if somebody is not here and they're not open to what you're doing, you're not going to resonate and flow together. There'll be challenges and blocks.
That's why I always talk to them before. Yeah.
All right. Sorry to jump in here, but we're just about to come back.
Perfect. Thanks.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for sticking around during the break. And if you've just tuned in, my guest today is Ulrike Kern. Ulrike is from Munchenberg, Germany. Her company is Welcome Happiness, and her website is www.welcome-happiness.com. And we've been talking about her program, which is called Discover the Best Inside Yourself. But before we go back to talking about the program, it's charity shout out time. And Ulrike's charity is Jambo Bukoba. And could you explain, Jambo Bukoba, what it's about and how people can help, get involved and help with it?
Yeah, it's kind of a friend of mine. He is, I got to know him over Jambo Bukoba. He's the founder, and his father is from Tanzania and his mother is German. He lives in Germany. And his father, when his father studied in Germany, and when he died, Clemens found out when he got to his house that he was one of the few Tanzanian men who were allowed to study, but to go back to Tanzania to get the knowledge there. So, and Jambo Bukoba is the town where he was born, and this charity goes to children, to primary school children, to build primary schools, because in Tanzania a lot of people, they don't have education, and they're only under 40% of the children, they have a successful primary school degree. So they are not only 40%, so 60% are not allowed to continue school because they didn't finish primary school. And they educate, they build primary schools, and they also build sanitary equipment, because girls don't go to school when they have their period.
Oh, interesting.
Because they are too shy, so they don't go. So they have no chance to really continue going to school. So they build all this. And also AIDS is a big problem. So they teach about AIDS. In Tanzania, it's not allowed to talk about that illness. And
Oh, wow. So how are they able to, because this is done in Tanzania, there is a lot of restriction. How are they able to sort of like skirt like the ability not to talk about AIDS and really educate people on what the disease is and how it's transmitted?
they developed playing techniques in sports. And so they learn it playfully. They write the word, and they have to run to get stones, and then they have to write an H and an I, and so they do it like that.
Oh, interesting. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. If you're interested in learning more about Jamba Bokuba or Bokoba, it's JAMBOBUKOBA.com. It is an interesting, I was reading about this charity. It's very interesting, and it's helping, I don't know if they're quite third world, but a very poor country getting the children educated so that they can read, write, learning about sanitation and health issues, and they could use donations, whether it be monetary or otherwise. But check out their website, because I think that this is a really needed charity and an extension to help.
Yeah, because when it's easy just to give bread to someone, but it doesn't really help. It helps for a second or for 2 hours, and then it's gone. But with education, you can start a different life.
Correct. So there's this adage. It says you can give a man a dinner and he'll have a meal, but if you teach him to fish, he will be able to have meals forever. So it's the same type of analogy.
Yeah, right.
Which is wonderful. So let's go back to the program, Discover the Best Inside Yourself, which I really think is a marvelous program. What tips do you use or do you offer not only your clients, but people you talk to about living a happy and fulfilling life? What are the important ingredients for that?
To be happy inside yourself.
And you do that through?
I do that with special healing techniques which I learned, and I teach them in my program, and they go deep inside. And like one technique is an ancient technique which goes back to the Mayas.
Yes.
And it's called light language. And this is an extremely efficient technique which changed my life completely in the way I always wanted to. And it's always to the highest good of the person who uses it. It's like when you do too much, it's not good, but when you do not enough, it's not good. But that's always on the level which is needed. It's really miraculous, but talking about it seems like that's voodoo, but it just works.
Well, this is a metaphysical show, so the people who listen here are very open to metaphysical techniques and or mixing, incorporating, it's almost like Western and Eastern philosophy on how to shift your life. And that's what I think you're bringing to your clients, to your students. I'm not sure, but the people who join your webinar, your program. And I personally think that metaphysical techniques can be incredibly powerful.
Yes.
So bringing this into allowing people to release things they've been holding on to, that it's almost like what's coming to my mind's eye is sort of like if you take a cork and stick it in a bottle and all the emotions and feelings are now in this bottle. And what you do is teach them how to release the cork and allow all the stuff to float out so it can be filled with good stuff.
Yeah. And when you open the bottle and everything goes out, one might think that, oh, what, I don't want to see it, but you don't see it in the intense way you saw it before. like you mentioned earlier, sometimes you go through this experience again, but on a different level. Like when it's, and you can have the ability or the opportunity to see it as being a third person, and then realize, oh, I know why this situation came, just to get another look on it and to say goodbye. And once you really said goodbye in thankfulness, like being thankful for having made that experience, but for some reason you had to go through that experience, whatever reason that was. But then once it's healed or it's finished, then it won't come again.
It's true. And we all go through whatever we go through. I look at everything as a stepping stone to learning and growth, to growth and ascension and expansion. Because if we never learned, where would we be? We'd be like an uneducated pod. But as we learn things, you know, we get bigger and stronger and can do more things with the knowledge we attain.
Yes. And we are here, like our soul is here to learn things. And as hurtful they might be, but there's always a reason why we lived through that.
And you're teaching because a lot of times too, unhappiness is not just a singular situation. It's a compilation of maybe the way they were brought up, or some teacher that they were a part, that taught them, who did something to help hold them back or make them feel bad about themselves. And then they get into a situation and where they're not excelling. So they may feel again, undervalued.
That's right. And most of the issues, they lead back to early childhood, or they start there and then they're still inside the system, and you might have put a lot of layers on it to not see it, but still they are there. And once they are there, you attract more of that all the time.
You attract what you put out. Well, Ulrike, I have enjoyed having you on and having this conversation so much. The show, I need to end the show, but you have been wonderful. To everybody out there, please check out Ulrike. Her website is www.welcome-happiness.com. You can email Ulrike at hello@welcome-happiness.com. Check out her Facebook page at #HappyMe, #HappyFamily, to see what she's about, her group is about, and her program, because anything that really digs deep to help unearth those emotions and feelings that keep you stuck is always worth it. At least I feel. I'm not trying to project, but I do feel that. And your program sounds absolutely wonderful. So thank you for being a part of today's show. I appreciate it. I want to thank Voice America and everyone, Matt, Robert, Ryan, Jeff, all the people who helped put the show together and make it what it is. I want to thank Teresa Scott Reed, my assistant. She's my left hand, my right hand. Grateful for her every single day. And I'm grateful for you, the listening audience, for taking time out of your day, out of your life to be a part of the show. I hope you've learned something that was shared today that will help you in your life, either enhance, tweak, or shift it, whatever it is you feel you need. I will be back next week, and I look forward to sharing another amazing show with you. Until then, I wish you love. I'm sorry, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I send you gratitude. Till next week.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
All right.